Hear these contentious pets, primed for battle.
He's releasing a line of merchandise saying, I'm cashing in on holism.
He's won as many Oscars as Leo, too.
What the hell, Campbells? Andy Warhol didn't die for this.
Because for these women, their butts really are their moneymakers.
It will be a memorable movie for years to come.
Might have let that one go a little longer just to wail on her for a little bit.
Have you ever heard of that city? I haven't.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and all respective pets, and welcome to the February 23rd edition of Ames Tonight, streaming live around the world from the metropolis, also known as Ames, Iowa. I'm your handsome co-host, Andreas Haffar.
And I am your glamorous co-host, Laurel Feakes. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for joining us, and you'll be glad you did because, as always, we've got a great show for you.
You damn right, Feakes. Watch out, folks. We're ready to rumble. Hit it! Oh, that hurt. Guys, the world never ceases to amaze me. And although I'm easily amused, what goes down on planet Earth is pretty wild. Would you agree? Probably. But what the hell is going on outside of our planet? If you haven't heard, my buddies over at NASA have been in the news for a couple reasons lately. The most noteworthy story is the one of the transcripts recently being released to the public from Apollo 10, way back in 2008 when I was like 28, 29, something like that, my wonder years. And they were with astronauts talking about hearing strange outer space music. Now, when I think of strange outer space music, I think pure, unadulterated Spotify and procreation, if you catch my drift. Now, you ever hear Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys? Hot damn! Y'all getting turned on thinking about it, aren't you? I digress, as per usual. These astronauts, Eugene Sheeran and John Young, now claim that the strange whistling music might not have been such a big deal. I disagree, as per usual. I actually listened to this mysterious melody, and what I heard was pretty shocking. Brace yourselves. It went something like this. 5, 6, 7, 8. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know what shoes you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. Something like that. So yeah, that sounds like a pretty big deal to me. And quite frankly, I'm still as shocked as you guys are. But I have one last question though. They said they heard David Bowie, or what I thought sounded like David Bowie. Maybe that's just me, whatever. They said they heard that from the other side of the moon. Now was it from the dark side of the moon? Because if it was, we all already know about that. All right? If they stuck around a while longer, they might have heard the entire album. See what I did there?
There were many ups and downs concerning last night's episode of The Bachelor. My roommate and I have been rooting for Lauren B. week after week. We were not disappointed when Ben gave her the first rose of the ceremony. You know, I was even okay with Kayla getting the second rose. And then the plot twist happened. JoJo got the rose over Amanda, and the mother of two was sent home. I'm not proud to admit how much I care about this particular season of The Bachelor, but for some reason I'm hooked. Amanda is known for her voice and that she has 2 kids. However, her hometown date went way better than JoJo's. In my opinion, I don't think JoJo will make it to the end. Family was way too tense during Ben's visit, unlike Kayla and Lauren B's. Of course, I'm no Steve spoiler, so what do I know? But it'll definitely be a showdown between Lauren and Kayla, and Lauren will be the one calling herself Mrs. Higgins.
Yes, most definitely. All right, before we continue, it's time to call some people out. Woo! 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 That was probably loud. I'm about to layeth down the law. This week, it has come to my attention that a certain trend by some particular gentleman has gathered considerable attention as of late. There are guys peeing at urinals with their phones in their hands. Texting while peeing? Are you serious? Are you seriously running the risk? Seriously? Oops, I got some on my phone. Oh, shoot. That's definitely going on my Snap story, bruh. Hashtag out of control. Hashtag loose cannon. Hashtag hydration. Hashtag my piss is lit. That's like calculating and driving. Well, you know, if I do x to the power of 4 to the standard deviation of the curve of the y-intercept of my shoelace and drive into a lake. Look, I know we live in the age of multitasking, but surely this isn't what Steve Jobs had in mind. Or probably didn't have in mind. You guys, please This is like the only place you can get away from the world and relax for like 15 seconds without having to tweet about it. Now, some critics have lashed out already. I saw this earlier, because I was talking about it earlier. And somebody at My Fist Fits in My Mouth, nice, says, how will people know if I went to the bathroom if I don't snap myself doing it? I guess that's fair. So, on a not so lighter note, darker note, I guess, devastating news in the past few days.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's a shame, a travesty, really.
I mean, that's right. Jeb Bush, the Don, the Jebra, the Tortoise, as his brother George W. calls him. He's officially suspended his campaign. I mean, it's a depressing end to a depressing campaign. Please clap.
Jeb? What the hell are you talking about Jeb for? His campaign was over months ago. I'm talking about Malachi Love Robinson.
You mean Dr. Love Robinson?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, he's my doctor.
What?
I mean, what the hell happened to him? Tell me what happened to him.
Well, here's the scoop. Dr. Malachi Love Robinson was arrested just the other day in Palm Beach, Florida. Why? Well, this 18-year-old master of disguise was posing as a medical doctor and running his own medical office without having a license to do so. How did he get caught, you might ask? An undercover agent went to the I Promise It's Legit Love Robinson medical clinic and exposed the young man after a month-long investigation. Really, though, it took you a month to figure this out? Reports actually indicate that Love Robinson was investigated back in October, too, but it turns out that investigators found nothing fishy. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you again. Is that it? Sure, he was practicing medicine without a license, but everyone self-medicates. It's 2016. You know how Obamacare is. To be honest, I don't know jack about Obamacare, but what I do know is that people were convinced that he was a real doctor. And with the price of medical school, the tediousness of going to medical school, and the anything goes mentality that's been instilled in Florida, which is most likely former Governor Jeb Bush's fault, with all of that, I'm actually not too surprised this happened. But there's more. The sheriff's office tweeted out later in response to the arrest saying, quote, "Just because you saw a season of Grey's Anatomy doesn't mean you can practice medicine." It sure as hell does mean you can practice medicine, just like if you watch CSI, you're a forensics expert. If you watch Chef Gordon Ramsay, you're immediately a jerk that can cook well. Or if you watch Breaking Bad, you can make drugs and sell them to restaurant owners. It's just common sense. Meredith Grey and Derek Shepard acted in the first season, and you don't think they seriously believe that they were actual doctors? Derek was quoted as saying, "Man, this playing doctor thing is much easier and much more fun than I thought." A man that was inspired by watching Grey's Anatomy? I trust that man. Diagnose me, baby. But look, for Love Robinson, everyone should take into consideration that he's young. He's trying to get experience. He tried, guys. Sure, he didn't know how to check the prostate. Sure, he couldn't tell where the thermometer went. Sure, the STD diagnosis rate was unusually high. Don't have insurance? What the hell is insurance? You guys don't need that. Probably said all those things aside. This kid has the networking skills, the appeal, the poker face of legendary status, and let's be honest, doctor or not, this was impressive, especially this day and age. He's a modern day Frank Abagnale. He fooled all of you, slept with your mothers, and he told Andreas that the Zika virus was another media campaign that was created just to get your flu shot this year. Gotcha.
Okay, flu shot aside, you're beginning to sound a lot like me, Feakes. You're scaring me. I'm mildly concerned and frightened at this very moment. I'm not used to being a listener, especially on this show.
Just doing my job. The moral of the story, if you believe you can, boys and girls. Play doctor, it's easy.
And fun. Thanks, Patrick Dempsey. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be joined by the Nightly News Watch anchors. Stay tuned, you're watching Ames Tonight.
Welcome back to Ames Tonight. I'm Joy, and yes, I do still spell my name with an I.
And I'm Claybon, Taylor Claybon. Since this is the last Ames Tonight we will have during Black History Month, we've decided to spend just a little bit of time looking at Black history. Here are 7 facts about Black history. Vaccines were introduced to America by a slave. His name was Onesimus, and he told his master about the process of inoculation, which had been a practiced tradition in Africa for centuries.
Although many of us have never seen a depiction of a black cowboy outside of Django, at least a quarter of cowboys were black. Many slaves ran away towards the west, and once the Civil War ended, many of the newly freed blacks headed west in search of a better life.
The inspiration for Betty Boop was actually a black woman. The iconic sex symbol was modeled after Esther Jones, a black jazz singer in Harlem who performed regularly in the Cotton Club during the 1920s.
Black History Month isn't just celebrated in the United States. Canada also celebrates it with us in February, while the United Kingdom celebrates it in October.
African Americans were responsible for the invention of 3D graphics, blood banks, gas masks, potato chips, and super soaker water guns. I know I use at least 3 of those every day. I won't tell you which 3.
After African American performer Josephine Baker moved to France, she smuggled military intelligence to French allies during World War II. She did this by pinning secrets inside of her dress, as well as hiding them in her sheet music.
And finally, although Congress finalized a bill in 2012 to pay $3.4 billion in reparations to Native Americans, there is still no organized plan for reparations for African Americans.
Damn it, I want my 40 acres and a mule.
I'm half black. Do I get anything?
I mean, you get 20 acres and a donkey. Egotistical singer and rapper Kanye West recently used Twitter to publicly beg Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg for help with his alleged $53 million business debt. Amazingly enough, this solicitation inspired one of the West fans to actually start up a GoFundMe page in his honor. And as far as we can tell, he wasn't even being ironic about it. Although that's honestly a little difficult to believe. Kanye West would not take money from fans who dug deep into their pockets when they heard that he was deep in debt. There's currently over $8,000 in a GoFundMe account earmarked for Kanye. Jeremy Piet, who created the account, tells us he was contacted by the GoFundMe a few days ago and so he couldn't touch the money himself. He needed to contact Kanye's people and only they could access the cash. Our Kanye sources tells us he will not take a penny from the account. So what to do with the money? Jeremy says he wants to keep a little bit for himself, but the GoFundMe people tells us he is dreaming. He's not getting a penny for what happens to the money. It all goes back to the people who donated. Nice try, Jeremy.
One British man spent 18 months transforming a spare bedroom into a bat cave. Darren Wilson poured time and money into creating the perfect space for his $21,000 collection of Batman memorabilia. Although Wilson is proud of the room, he has promised his wife he will not decorate any other spaces in the home.
So as we all know, the viral Damn Daniel video has skyrocketed in views over the past couple of days. Even Snapchat has made it into a filter. However, the voice behind the viral video fell victim to a prank. On Tuesday, February the 16th, someone called cops saying there had been shooting at his house. Law enforcement told TMZ they responded to a call around 1 a.m. to the Riverside, California home after the caller said a boy had shot his mom in the head with an AK-47. Officers flooded the scene and it all turned out to be a hoax. Officers cleared the scene and determined no one at the house was involved.
Subway is raising the price of its famous $5 footlongs and people are outraged. The $5 footlong has been an option available since 2007, but now it'll cost you $6. A $6 footlong? That doesn't have a very good ring to it. The chain has been suffering over the last 9 months, and that's why they're raising prices. Some speculation attributes this struggle to the former Subway spokesman, Jared Fogle, being charged with possession and distribution of child pornography. If I'm honest, that mental image does make putting a footlong in my mouth sound less appetizing.
Pop singer Kesha sued in 2014 seeking to be released from her contract with Dr. Luke's Kemosabe Records, which is owned by Sony Music, claiming he had been physically and emotionally abusive to her during their 10-year working relationship. The producer fired back with a defamation claim, alleging the pop star was fabricating the allegations to get out of her contract. For 3 years now, singer Kesha had been essentially stuck in legal hell that was basically preventing her from releasing new music on her own accord. Last October, Kesha filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles accusing Dr. Luke of sexual assault, battery, sexual harassment in that lawsuit. She claims that Dr. Luke verbally and physically abused her during the years they worked together, and that he gave her GHB, more commonly known as the date rape drug, and subsequently raped her when she was unconscious. Unfortunately, last Friday, February the 19th, a New York judge denied Kesha a court injunction that would have allowed her to record new music outside of her record label Sony Music and working with producer Dr. Luke. #Free Kesha.
A village in India imposed a ban on unmarried women and minor girls from owning cell phones. The villagers in Suraj view cell phones as tools used by young people to leave their homes and elope. Women caught violating the ban will be fined about $30, while the person who reports the offense will receive an award of almost $3. Women attending college are exempt from the ban, and young girls may use cell phones in their own homes with the supervision of their parents. Although good intentions are behind the law, trying to protect young girls from the dangers of men and all of their stupidity, I don't understand why it's not imposed equally on all younger children, both male and female. Nonetheless, I have a feeling the ban will not be effectively enforced. The future is now, and nothing can stop it.
President Obama has really been letting his blackness shine bright this term, whether he's leading a church in Amazing Grace at a funeral or setting people straight in a way only a black dad could. And we all know what that means. Now our president is back at it again. While he was welcoming visitors to the White House with the First Lady, a woman shouted out, "Hey, Michelle, girl, you look so good." First Lady of the United States laughed it off, but President Obama decided to go the extra mile and call out the woman, saying this is how he knows it's Black History Month, when someone shouts out, "Hey, Michelle, girl, you look so good." This Black History Month just keeps getting better and better. Can we just keep them in the White House forever? One can only wish.
That is your nightly news.
Stay tuned for an Oscar breakdown from the Common Man and this week's sports update from the Common Girl. This is Ames Tonight.
Welcome back to the Common Block. I'm your common man, Jared Calvert, just living in a common world. Well, folks, the Oscars are right around the corner, and yes, I really did dress up for the internship fair and kept the same clothes on for this show. Either way, the Oscars is Hollywood's way of recognizing the achievements of movies during the past year. There are a variety of awards recognizing actors and actresses, the visual appeal of the movie, and the overall quality of the movies themselves. Most of the movies recognized at the Oscars are released in the fall or early winter. As a common man, I usually prefer the entertainment/visual spectacle of summer blockbusters. However, this year I have watched most of the nominated films to give you a common man's Oscar picks. I'll start by giving my picks for the categories in which I have seen none of the films. We'll try to make this segment quick and painless. Live action short films goes to Stutterer. Animated short film goes to Bear Story. Foreign language film goes to Mustang. Short subject documentary goes to Body Team 12. Next, I'd like to recognize movies that are the only movie I have seen in their respective categories. The Academy Award for Best Feature Documentary is What Happened, Miss Simone? This film highlights the inner demons of blues singer Nina Simone and how she dealt with them throughout her life and career as a blues singer and civil rights activist. Best Animated Feature Film goes to Inside Out. If you like Amy Poehler as Leslie Knope in Parks and Rec, you'll love her in this movie as Joy, the leader of emotions inside an 11-year-old girl's head. This movie tugs at the heartstrings as Riley, previously mentioned, 11-year-old, moves with her family from Minnesota to San Francisco, and the different emotions she possesses react and interact in drastic ways. While this movie has several lighthearted and funny moments, it's also filled with deep and powerful moments that compare to some of the Best Picture nominated movies. The rest of the categories are ones in which I have seen at least half, if not all of the movies. Some would suggest that leads to a more well-informed opinion. I'll leave it up to you. Let's get right down to it. Best Production Design goes to Arthur Max and Celia Bobak of The Martian. The movie is shown in a realistic setting resembling space, and overall it's visually interesting. Secondary picks for this category are Mad Max Fury Road and The Revenant. Staying in space, Best Original Score Music goes to John Williams for his work on Star Wars The Force Awakens. If you haven't heard of John Williams, first, shame on you. Just know that he is the greatest film composer of all time, no ifs, ands, or buts. End of discussion. Star Wars will also get Best Visual Effects, and try to beat a lightsaber, I dare you. And for the sake of loving Star Wars, I'll also give it Best Sound Editing and Sound Mixing. Best Costume Design goes to Sandy Powell. She was nominated for her work in both Cinderella and Carol. Both films have elegant clothing, so the choice seems logical enough. Cinematography goes to Emmanuel Lubezki for The Revenant. This film was shot in extreme conditions, and the result is an authentic setting for Leonardo DiCaprio to journey through. For this reason, I'm going to give The Revenant Best Film Editing and Best Director for Alejandro G. Iñárritu's work. Best Supporting Actress goes to Kate Winslet for her role in Steve Jobs. She does a terrific job playing Joanna Hoffman, the marketing executive of Apple, when Steve Jobs was launching the Macintosh, Next Computer, and the iMac. Her role balances out the dramatic nature of Steve Jobs, played by Michael Fassbender. Best Actress goes to Brie Larson for her role in Room. Brie delivers a powerful performance as a captive mother raising a child, and I'll talk more about that movie in my review of the Best Picture nominees. Best Actor, well, that goes to Leo. I think the Academy wants to give him the Oscar, and I think they realize it would be good for TV ratings as well. I think they take that into consideration, don't they? However, Bryan Cranston also piqued my interest in his portrayal of film writer Dalton Trumbo in the film Trumbo. Best Original Song goes to Writings on the Wall from Spectre. I know, Andreas, I sneaked in Spectre into this review. So, Adele won the Oscar for Skyfall, and Sam Smith is the male version of Adele. So, naturally, a song sung by Sam Smith is the logical choice for this award. Best Original Screenplay goes to Spotlight, written by Josh Singer and Tom McCarthy. The story in this film is a powerful one, and it is backed by good writing. I'll have more on Spotlight in a bit. Best Adapted Screenplay goes to The Big Short, written by Charles Randolph and Adam McKay. The writing in this film is just as good, if not better than Spotlight, as it tells the story of men who made a fortune off of the financial crisis of 2008. Best Makeup and Hairstyling goes to Mad Max Fury Road. I have to say, though, there is another film in this category that I would recommend watching, entitled The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared. It is a mix between Secondhand Lions and Forrest Gump. Check it out. And in a category in which all the men deserve the award, Best Actor in a Supporting Role goes to Sylvester Stallone. I'm honestly surprised that Creed didn't get more nominations like Best Actor and, other awards. However, Stallone takes Rocky to another level in this film as not only a mentor to Apollo Creed's son Adonis, played by Michael B. Jordan, but also as a man affected by old age and the loss of loved ones. And so finally, we arrive to the Best Picture nominations, and since I like rankings, let's see how the movies stack up. So buckle up. The movies with the smallest chance of getting an Oscar, in my opinion, is Brooklyn. The movie is about an Irish immigrant named Ailish, played by, is it Saoirse? Oh, no, it's Saoirse Ronan, falling in love in America, going back to Ireland, and being conflicted about which country and man she loves more. This movie is so sappy that it should really be called Vermont. It's an okay film for a Saturday afternoon, but it doesn't have the wow factor that the other 7 films have. Mad Max Fury Road. This movie also doesn't have a great chance at winning Best Picture either. But visually, it is an exciting film to watch, especially compared to the old Mad Max films with Mel Gibson released in the 80s. Set in a post-apocalyptic future, Max, played by Tom Hardy, is captured and taken to a fortress called the Citadel, led by Immortan Joe, played by Hugh Keys-Byrne. Max escapes the clutches of his captors and helps Imperator Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, usher the breeders of the Citadel to freedom in a utopic land. While this film has a great action sequence backed with a decent storyline, the nomination alone is the most appropriate praise for this film. On the opposite end of the story spectrum is Bridge of Spies. I talked a little bit about this film last semester, and then I thought it was an Oscar-worthy film. Like Mad Max, though, the nomination is the best recognition for this film because it doesn't quite have the pieces to win Best Picture. And closing out the bottom half of the nominees is The Martian. Matt Damon shines in this movie as Mark Watney, the wisecrack astronaut stranded on Mars. This film ranks higher than the bottom 3 because it starts to show the depth that our top contenders have. Director Ridley Scott represents Andy Weir's novel beautifully and makes people who aren't experts in space believe that Watney is logically solving the problems he faces on our neighbor planet. Anyways, moving into the top half of the Best Picture nominees, my 4th place pick is Room. This film is very powerful in its script and acting, as Brie Larson plays a woman held captive in a garden shed. She raises a son, Jack, in the shed, called by her and Jack as Room. The film shows how Jack learns about the world from the inside the room, as well as outside. This film could sneak in for the Best Picture win, but it has heavy competitors, in my opinion, with the top 3 films. As we move into the third place slot, it'll go to Spotlight. This film brings quite the lineup, including Rachel McAdams, Mark Ruffalo, Liev Schreiber, John Slattery, and Stanley Tucci. In a film that spotlights the largest molestation scandal in the Catholic Church in Boston. Like Room, in addition to a great script, this acting in the film shows how the reporters at the Boston Globe face challenges in gathering information, as well as personal conflicts as the gravity of the scandal becomes clear. Runner-up for Best Picture is The Big Short. Like Spotlight, this film includes several heavy hitters, including Brad Pitt, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and Christian Bale. The movie shows how a handful of people made a fortune betting against the American economy before the housing crisis of 2008. The film also includes appearances from celebrities like Margot Robbie and Selena Gomez. To explain big worded economic terms, I can't even say economics, so congratulations to them. By the end of the movie, you'll be pissed off at the bankers on Wall Street, but you'll also have a greater understanding of American finance and big word economics. And there's no surprise here, folks. My pick for Best Picture is The Revenant. Leonardo DiCaprio absolutely crushes this movie as Hugh Glass, a frontiersman in the 1800s leading a group of fur traders through the forest ground. After being attacked by a bear, Tom Hardy's character, John Fitzgerald, is offered money to look after Glass until he dies. Eager to get paid, Fitzgerald kills Glass's son and leaves Glass for dead. The rest of the movie is a graphic journey of Glass's fight for survival and revenge. Filmed in extreme conditions with maximum effort by DiCaprio, this film deserves to win Best Picture, and I think it will. The real winners will be announced on Sunday at 6 p.m. on ABC. And if you haven't switched websites yet, this concludes the Common Man's Oscar picks. I'm Jared Calvert, and I'm just a common man in an uncommon land. Kathryn?
And now, welcome to the Common Lady Sports Review. I'm Kathryn Kuckelman. This week, I wanted to address a very important revelation I've had about Iowa State basketball, and this is it. We're losers. We suck. Listen, last night we lost to West Virginia. West Virginia? Do they even have basketball in West Virginia? Isn't everyone just sitting around playing their banjo on the front porch? How could we have lost to them? Twice, I might add. Aren't we the team that won the Big 12 championship the past 2 years? Wait, no, I'm actually asking. Did they win?
Yes, they did.
Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. Let's look at the other teams we've lost to. Baylor, yes, the highlighter team. We were just so distracted by those awful outfits that we couldn't get the ball into the net. People running around looking like neon bananas would freak me out too, I guess. Texas Tech, they're so irrelevant, they don't even have a number next to their name. Oh, that's a ranking. Yeah, they don't even have that. Oklahoma, first of all, I'm pretty sure everyone in Oklahoma is overweight and only eats fried food and barbecue. I think they're cheating and outsourcing players. That actually sounds like an interesting, more interesting than a basketball game. Could be like an episode of Law and Order. What a scandal. Anyway, on the bright side, Cyclone fans, we may be big losers, but let's not forget who we didn't lose to. This lady killer. Isn't he pretty? Well, that's all I have for this week's Common Lady Sports Review. I'll be back in a couple weeks to keep you updated on all that important sports stuff. Stay tuned for an Oscars breakdown with Laurel and Annie after the break.
There's Leonardo DiCaprio. Tonight he celebrates his 5th acting nomination, 6th if he counts his Lady Gaga reenaction of the Golden Globes. Whatever performance he gives in The Revenant, savage beating, left for dead, determined to get revenge. Sounds like what happened after his Oscar campaign for The Wolf of Wall Street, and Blood Diamond, and The Aviator, and What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I sense a trend.
I'll find it hella ironic for Leo's first Oscar to come from a performance of him screaming throughout an entire movie.
2015 was a great year for women's roles. Just ask Alicia Vikander. She played literally all of them. The Danish Girl, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Ex Machina, Burnt.
Vikander is here to take all of your Oscars. I don't care what category you are in. If you are a man or a woman, black or white, she is here to absolutely dominate. And why shouldn't she? She's playing a robot, a wife of a transgender woman, and a spy. Her 2015 was busy with roles all over the place. Move over, J-Law. Vikander is here to stay.
There are 5 great performances in the Best Supporting Actress category, or as it's called this year, Mean Girls. That's for you, Rachel McAdams. Don't let a school bus hit you on the way out.
Oh, come on. Rachel McAdams, is tired of hearing Mean Girls jokes. But good luck on Oscar night. Maybe they'll break off a piece of each of
break off a piece of the Oscar for each of the supporting noms.
And the meanest girl has to be Jennifer Jason Leigh, nominated for The Hateful Eight. 7 suspicious men and 1 woman spend 3 hours in a single room trying to kill each other. It's like watching a GOP primary debate.
Wait, I thought I was watching the GOP debate. Wow, Quentin Tarantino is good.
Security is especially tight this year. By that I mean security is as tight as the local TSA agents at the Des Moines International Airport. So many things to be afraid of. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Ebola, and worst of all, John Travolta and his face touching. Just kidding, Travolta is here to present the Best Actress Oscar. Apologies in advance to Saoirse Ronan and Adele Dazeem.
And the Oscar goes to Jennifer Lawrence.
Also nominated for the Best Picture is The Big Short. It stars some of the most funny, most talented, and most downright hunky actors in Hollywood. And Steve Carell.
You know, and the cameos in this movie are amazing too. Maybe Selena Gomez will get an Oscar if it wins Best Picture.
And that's a wrap for our bare minimum Oscar preview.
Join us next week for an Oscar recap. But from all of us at Ames Tonight, we bid you adieu.
Good night, Ames.